All right, we'll start the meeting. It is January 2nd, 2025. This is a City Council Budget Committee meeting. The mayor has requested for us to have a meeting so that he can kind of begin the process of presenting and giving us information for capital improvement projects from different departments, different department heads. So I appreciate everyone making it tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over to the mayor and kind of let him lead us through this. And I just ask him that 8 o'clock hopefully be the hard cutoff, if not sooner, because if we need to go beyond 8, we should probably have another meeting. So I just want to reassure everyone we're not going to be here 3.5 hours like we did last year a couple times. So 8 o'clock's the hard cutoff, but if not sooner, that'd be better. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you all so much, and Happy New Year. I'm super excited. This is our first meeting of the new year, and as President McKinley said, my hope is that we won't have any more of those 4-hour meetings. But so last year, towards the end of last year, I asked all of my department heads to send me their top 3 capital needs for a capital improvement plan that I wanted to submit to the council. So I sent all of that via email to you all for what the requests are. So what my intentions are for tonight and forward is to work collaboratively and get some feedback on what you think on some of the asks that were made. And then after we work through some of this, I will go back and put together one big press pack, if you will, and submit that for a normal council meeting to be approved and moved on to the next stages of it all. So I think what I want to do is go right to questions. So I won't go through and read every single request that everyone has made, but if anyone has any questions regarding what you've seen, the department heads are here tonight to be able to answer questions regarding those asks and why they think they need those things. And after we get this feedback tonight, I'll go through and end up making a final decision of what I actually want to ask you guys for moving forward. So I would entertain any questions. That's what I mean to say. Yeah.
I'm sorry, say it again.
And now I would like to entertain any questions, and also the corresponding department head to answer those as well. All
right. I mean, there's a lot of information.
Yes.
So hopefully council members had a chance to go through some, if not all of it. So obviously, there's no decisions being made tonight. Right. Any council members who want to start off, anything they noticed, any questions, or any certain department heads they want to talk to?
I have one thing right out of the gate. Last year we appropriated quite a bit of money for the renovation of, this building and a lot of that furniture. And there was an ask in there for another almost $200,000 worth of furniture. Is that for this building as well?
Yeah, so the ask we did for furniture last year was only for certain departments. What this is doing is replacing every furniture that was put in, believe it or not, in 1980. We still have most of that original furniture. This is covering everything from the police department to the controller's office to the clerk's office. This proposal is replacing every furniture.
Okay, yeah, I thought we did a lot of that last year, but obviously looking over that quote, it wasn't as much as I thought.
Yeah.
But now that furniture and that amount, Mayor, that has nothing to do with like Chief Gilbert, his department.
No, so I included
right?
everything. That's all. What you see is all encompassing for every single thing, everything inside this building.
Okay.
Yep.
Mayor, is there any reason there's 2 laminator?
I think that's just the same thing, maybe sent twice.
It's identical.
Yeah.
So
Mike wants one for home. Is Brittany here?
Brittany is not. She's home maternity. She's had a baby.
Okay.
But I sent that over to you for the animal care and control. But I won't actually ask you that because we received money. We received money from the county to be able to do that remodel there. So I won't request any funds for animal care and control
so
as a part of it. Yeah, we'll scratch that one out. Yeah.
That was good.
So for the county sent us $1 million, and $500,000 goes towards animal care and control and the remodel there, and the other $500,000 goes towards downtown repairs.
That's the actual printer, and this is the laminator. Oh, you got it. You got it, Boo.
Yeah,
You just got
I'm
it. You just
good.
got it double.
I'm good.
Right. So that was a part of the negotiations for that. Yep.
Hold on one second. You guys just make sure your microphones are on, because we are streaming on YouTube and they can't hear you at all without your microphones. Just make sure your microphones are on.
Okay. $500,000 towards the animal care and control, and that is dedicated towards their remodel. And then, did you turn me up? How'd that happen? And then another $500,000 towards downtown repairs and beautification. So anyway, the reason why I was addressing that, so I originally sent you guys over the request, in this request, the animal care and control. So I won't actually ask that because we have money allocated towards that.
Now, between that and like redoing the cage area, and all, will that be in pretty good shape, that building now
I
after
think,
this?
yeah, we'll be able to bring it back to life for that money. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the PDFs, comm relations, community development, it says new 12 by 24 outdoor stage, $2,000, and sound equipment, $2,000. I mean, my question is, have these really actually been quoted? Because, $2,000 isn't much for sound equipment, for good sound equipment. An outdoor stage that's 12 by 24, $2,000, what kind of stage is that? So I guess, I'm just trying to understand, there are numbers on a piece of paper with a brief description, and what exactly does that look like? Because when I get when I see even numbers, I know that's probably an estimate or an approximate, but I just know sometimes estimates and approximates can vary quite a bit. So I don't know, Layla, if you want to elaborate on that.
Yes, so we can start with. Okay, so we can start with the sound equipment. I had gotten in touch with Loretta and asked how much her JBL sound system is. We have a lot of events that are planned for this year, and it would be a good investment instead of renting it or, paying for a professional to provide it every single time. The JBL and the EV Evolve are both around $1,500, $1,300 to $1,500. And before I got that from her, I had just given myself a threshold of $2,000 because me having a little bit of experience with having a couple different sound systems myself, I knew that it would be more expensive than what I could have. And what we currently have, we are using my personal Fishman sound system that I paid $1,000 for, and we can reach about 200, 300 people with that compact system, and I just want something more. Mayor Morrell has planned some larger events, and so I don't want to keep having to use my personal sound system. So that's my explanation for the sound system.
All right,
And- Go ahead.
One thing, certainly the sound equipment, just because I know a little bit about sound equipment too.
Yeah.
I almost feel like that's not enough for a good system. It's $1,500 for one EV50, and if you're doing an event, you want two. So that's $1,500 each, and an EV50, it's good for a decent sized crowd. But I guess it should depend on what kind of crowd you're wanting, because of what I would hate is for you to buy something and then it's not enough, right? And so I'm almost concerned that depending what kind of large crowd you're talking about, that's not going to be enough.
Well, that's what I'm asking for basically the additional, because I have some cushion that I can work with. And I can also borrow from the other requests. I could find an SUV that is just a hand-me-down from the police department or another department, or so basically I could play with those numbers and be able to afford a better sound system.
Okay, well, that makes sense. I just thought that was it. Like, that's not going to be enough for a quality system for, so even our our Christmas parade. So what sound system, whose sound system is that was being used for the Christmas parade out there on, was that something you were part of, or is that something different?
Was that Andy McCord's? Was that his sound system?
Do we use his because we didn't have one, or because we outsourced it, or should we have a system that we can use for that? I don't know if you were part of that.
I think we should have one. That's a good one. That's versatile for all these kind of events. So.
All right, and that's kind of where I'm going.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an interest in sound and all of that. So, I mean, at some of the events, I feel like we definitely could use a bigger, more robust system. So I'm in favor of quality, investing in a quality system. So if you think 2,000 extra on top of what I already have would work, then that's fine. I just was concerned with just the 2,000 alone. Yeah,
Sure.
go ahead.
A quick question kind of leads in, and I know you may not be able to tell me for the future, but in the past, how many times have you had to use your own or someone else, and how many times do you use the event place's sound? What's the percentage? How many times do you have to use your own as opposed to what's there?
So last year, we used my system maybe a half a dozen times. I mean, and then for the other events that we've had, like say we have a DJ accompanied with it, basically we're using their sound system. So it kind of just depends per event. So we used Loretta's sound system for National Night Out because she also provided DJ services that evening.
Yours about half a dozen.
And yeah.
Can you use your mic?
And you have to do a lot of negotiating too. For instance, for the State of the City address and the birthday party, they were going to make us rent their portable stage for $2,500. And Mayor Morrell, thankfully, he has a relationship with him and was able to basically talk him down to next to nothing. So, I mean, it's just kind of nerve-wracking. And then the stage that we've had for the Walkway of Lights, Jerry Faustnight had informed me a couple of years ago that it was falling apart, and I just don't want that kind of liability. And we've had that stage for a very long time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, when it comes to community development, I know I'm in favor of good quality, because these types of events are a reflection of our city, and I want Layla to not be nervous about stages and equipment, and it's marketing, it's what it is. So I think we need to make sure we're spending good quality equipment on good quality equipment.
I agree.
Chief Gilbert, I got on the police, if you want to. Thanks again, Chief, for these. These are nice. This one on the front, is that the one that goes in the bicycle spokes, though? Or?
That's the one that has the most value. Well,
On yours, Dave, I was going through, I mean, is this pretty much, will this take, because I know like your locker room area was horrendous, and I know that needed remodeled bad. And you have like, your indoor, what is it? Your gun range, indoor gun range. And I had a question too on the the ballistics vest for SWATs, is there such a vest that, will it stop like a 223, or is that?
Yeah.
It will?
Yeah, that's what we need for them. We
That's
need
what because if somebody's gonna, where
you-
SWAT's gonna come in, chances are they're gonna have an AR or
Yeah.
223 something.
That's what we're asking for. We're asking for SWAT grade, rifle grade, body armor for our SWAT guys, which is a higher, I won't say quality, but it's higher rated than the normal patrol
Right.
officers will wear. And they need it.
Well, I want all your officers to be safe. I guess
Yeah.
that's where I'm kind of going with this. And that'll be enough to equip all your SWAT guys. I would
Yeah,
think.
Mr. President mentioned, these are all estimates. We didn't
I
bid
understand that.
anything out. We just did our best good faith effort to get in the ballpark, but we feel like we can do business that way. Yeah.
And Chief, I've written grants for these kind of things. The vests, how long do they last? How many extras you gonna have? Because once one gets popped, you're not gonna wear it again.
We don't usually deal in extras.
Okay.
But
Should you?
yeah, more power to you, absolutely. We'd love to do that. It's just, it always comes down to money, which is why we're here. But to answer your first question, typically the companies and even the federal government rates the body armor to last, was it 3 years now? And they actually kind of, I don't want to say strong arm you, but they recommend strongly that you replace it every 3 or 4 years. So, but to be honest with this stuff, it's not worn daily. It's worn when needed. So we'd make it last for a long time.
Okay, and okay, that kind of answered me. It's not fitted.
Oh, yeah. It will.
It is fitted?
It will be, or it will be worn, most likely it'll be worn in their tactical vest.
Okay.
Which isn't as necessary to be fitted to the body, but it'll be fitted to cover the areas it needs to.
Okay,
If
so it'll
I'm
be
understanding.
interchangeable from officer to officer? Or is it one per?
Well, I wouldn't say that. Within
I
similar
mean,
body types.
is it like a mask that is fitted?
It's not quite that specific.
Okay.
We could, if I was on the SWAT team and I was gonna age out, and a guy had my same body type, we could probably make that work. But if it doesn't work, we would need to buy another one. So I guess suffice to say, we will make it work to save money whenever we can. And so anything that I'm talking to you about on here it's important, especially when it comes to the safety. So, yeah.
How does that, I'm not familiar with that. Let's say somebody takes a shot here now. Is that done? Or is it like you just hope it don't get hit in that same spot?
No, it's done. It's done. We would never put a setback on a guy that took a hit.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they do automatically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we would
Thanks.
never, it's one, hopefully never use it at all. But
Oh, I hope so too.
Yeah,
but
if it takes any damage.
I just want to make sure you guys are protected is what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And do you feel comfortable that this will pretty much take care of your department for at least 1 year on all your other asks?
Well, some of it for years and years. I heard the mayor mention 1980. I don't want to go against my boss, but the plaque says 1979, and some of this stuff that I'm asking for has never been touched. But since 1979,
I don't think your locker room has it? Yeah.
Our locker room, our range.
Yeah, the range too.
Some of the chairs, if you're as old as me, you'll know some of that cross pattern blue and green chairs that you'll see in the building, those were original equipment here. And there's some of those are still in the building. We don't have too many of them, but a lot of what we're trying to address here has not been addressed since the building was put in. The range and some of the refurbishing some of the things. The locker room, that's as it's been since I've been here and before. So, but yeah, so when you say a year, I'm not trying to split hairs here, but we'll make some of this stuff last for longer
Well,
than you and
yeah,
I.
like the remodels and stuff. I
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
that too. But like your police vehicles, are you getting on a pretty good regular basis on having so many every year to where they're a little bit more comfortable
That's
with?
why we're here. This is the next phase of that process. We want to get to the point where, and I've said it from day one, been very open about that. The way we've been doing business as long as I've been on is what I call feast and famine. We buy a bunch of cars and we run them into the ground. 2 or 3 years later, 4 or 5 years later, we buy a bunch more. We run those into the ground. I want to get on a model where we identify the useful life of a vehicle, we identify how many we need, and we make a simple math equation, buy that many cars every year. And that way we're ahead of the game.
Right.
We're winning. We're not trying to figure out how we're going to keep guys safe in an untenable position. And so that's where we're trying to get. So that's a great question. It's not a luxury thing. It's not a perception thing. It's almost strictly safety and our ability to get around, which is our bread and butter. We've got to keep these people safe. I say often, Mark will vouch for me, I say often that we are the stewards of the taxpayers' money, and we are required to be cheapskates whenever we can be. But I also recognize that we're the stewards of our officers' safety. Right. And when it comes to that, and Nick will, President McKinley will vouch for this, other than our people, our cars are our most important resource to provide the service we do. And I just think if we ask a kid to turn on those lights and drive at risk to himself to help other people, the least we can do is put them in a piece of equipment that's reliable. And that's all we're asking for.
And it's the way it should be.
Sorry. Do you feel like 6 cars a year is about where we're going to even out long term, or do you think it's more
I think it'd probably be more like 8 when we get there. But Mark, this is Chief Stephanopoulos, Deputy Chief Stephanopoulos. He's my fleet manager. I'm gonna let him have a little exposure here. But I say 6 because you did right by us pretty recently. But I expect it'll be more like 8 as years go on. But I'm going to turn any. I don't think that's enough year to year, but it's good enough now for this year.
I think we have vehicles on our oldest vehicle in the fleet is a 2008 Chevy Impala, which is a K9 backup car, and then we have some 2014s, and those 2014s are pushing 140,000 miles. If you got in one, it's, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like a clown car. The struts are bad, creaks, the seats are wore out, the seats have holes in them from the equipment. The duty belts just wear the seats out. And it just, number one, it's not safe. Number two, it's just doesn't have a very good reflection. We may be one of the last police departments in the state of Indiana still driving an Impala, Chevy Impala. But I think we're coming up on, in the past, we bought them as we've needed them. And therefore, I always say, we made a joke one day when we were taking some squad cars out from the street department, Marion Police Department, where we buy a car and it comes to die, because we drive them until there's nothing left of them. We have 2017s, our lower end, where we started doing 5 to 6 vehicles a year. And then there was a couple times, like we went 2017, we got 5, 2019 we got 5, so we skipped a year. And then we went to, we got a few in 20, and then we're just here and there, nickel and diamond. Now last year you guys were great, and we appreciate that because our fleet's going to look a heck of a lot better. And we've, since they started the take-home program, it's just made the cars last longer. When I started in 1995, you had to wait on station because we had about 13 cars here, and they were driven 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you never know what you were getting into. You usually had to go take it and clean it somewhere from the guy on night shift or whatever. So the taking them home is really increased how long we're able to keep vehicles and keep them safe. The other thing is we're sinking a lot of money into these older cars that, as everyone knows, if you had your car repaired lately, it takes a lot of money to keep cars going. And I hate every time we have to sink $700-800 into a 2014 Chevy Impala. That could be money going elsewhere, and they just continue to nickel and dime us. So the 2017s are the Fords, and they are all around 125,000 miles on them. So their life is coming to an end too, which then puts us into the 2019 to 2020 Durangos that are starting to push 60, 70,000 miles. So anything that we can do to get more cars is just beneficial to us. And I think that in the long run, the rotation of the cars will will be better because it's going to keep the cost of the repairs down.
Yeah, I truly believe it's going to save money in the long run, because it's the way I did with my business. I rotated all my equipment out every couple of years, and I didn't have repairs. I didn't have downtime. I didn't have all that. It was just so much more efficient. And 2014, it's 130,000 miles. You guys should not be getting in a vehicle like that. And that's not only not safe for you, it's not safe for our citizens, because if you're in a high-speed pursuit and something busts on that car, it's hard telling, what would happen there too, so.
Yeah, and I know some of you might sit and think like my personal car has 140,000 miles on it, but I don't drive it like these cars are having to be driven sometimes. And there's sometimes where we have to drive them hard. They get driven hard a lot more than how we drive our personal vehicle.
And that's the nature of the beast. It was the same way with the fire department. We've talked about it for years. You go from nothing to 100.
Yeah.
Nothing to 100, and you don't drive your regular car that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely a difference.
And unfortunately for us, unlike the fire department that we're always battling back and forth in good spirits, our equipment is driven every day on a regular basis. Sometimes our cars don't get shut off. I mean, they're just second shift. Now we've switched shifts, but second shift, a guy'd come in at 2 o'clock and his car might not shut off until he pulls it in his driveway at home. So we just can't, there's no way to save a police car. Other than the take-home car program helps the life of that car, because it makes the person who's taking that car home have to take pride in that car, make sure it's fixed, and not care about it. So,
There's more accountability that way.
Yes.
Two things. So just a note on vehicle usage for, any city vehicle, but especially the police cars. Mileage is always assuming that's the only time it's running, kind of what you said. I mean, you have idle hours as well. And so when your car is idling and you're sitting in your car typing a police report, it's still using oil, it's still moving parts. So the running time for police cars is significantly more than most vehicles. 100,000 miles on a personal car versus a police car, it's probably, 1/25 of the running hours on your personal car. So they're still getting wear and tear when they're at a call or whatever. The other thing I have on the police budget request, just out of curiosity, do any of our squad cars have bulletproof windshields?
No.
Is that something that's been looked at, discussed? I don't even know the cost of that.
I know when the officer at Elwood was, unfortunately, his life was taken, that I did some research on that, and there was about $1,000 to $1,500 a window back then, because a local businessman donated the money. Elwood has 6 or 7 police cars, unlike our large fleet. So, but no, none of our stuff, none of our equipment has bulletproof stuff in it. We've even had to cut back to where we don't have in-car radios. We had to leave cages out of some of them too, which is unsafe when officers are transporting, because we're trying to get every penny we can get and save for the taxpayers. So we have been doing our best to keep those costs down. But that would be another, if you guys want to fund that, I'll be more than happy to get every one of them equipped that way. But that's, we don't have that right now. But
I'm just curious, when you purchase a new squad, if those they probably don't put them at the factory, you have probably that aftermarket.
no, that comes as a standard police package from the factory, and then any add-ons are put. The only thing the factory really does is put a wiring harness in there so it can be equipped by somebody else to put lights in it.
But you can't order them from the factory with a bulletproof windshield, correct?
I would say no. I would say no on that.
I was just thinking, what would be the net difference if, you saved from the original to the new? But I would be curious to know if just new squad cars, what that would cost just to get a bulletproof windshield as you get new squad cars. So over time, they're all, because that's probably when you're most, other than being in someone's home on a domestic, it's probably one of your biggest vulnerabilities, obviously, as we've seen with Officer Noah from Elwood, and I just don't want that to happen here. So I'd be curious to know if, when you can look it up, what that would be.
I will get that and forward it to you.
Any other questions for police department? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Mark.
Hi, Gary.
How you doing?
Just fine, how are you, sir?
I'm just going to stick more to stats of how many police cars we actually have that are functioning and how many we've replaced in '24 with the ARPA and your budgeted amount in your department, and then what we did extra from payroll for the other vehicles.
Okay.
If you could just go ahead and kind of give me the stats on that, because I know we have replaced probably, what, 10 so far, or with the ARPA money and the budgeted amount that you normally have for vehicles, and then.
Yeah, we did 5 white police cars with the ARPA money, and then 2 specialized vehicles, which were black Dodge Durangos for the canines. And then with the extra money that you guys just approved towards the end of the year, we bought 6 more. So we have 7 plus 6, 13 vehicles.
Yeah,
And then we bought two detective vehicles out of that money too. So
Yeah.
it's more like 15 total vehicles. And our detective fleet is also to the point where that's another issue that's going to take place here soon, because our detective vehicles are getting up in miles too. So.
And is that with your budget amount in your budget also? Because you've got a motor vehicle in there for what, 160,000 for like,
Remember, I took that out.
yeah, but it went into Board of Works, didn't it?
I took it out in preparation that we were going to ask for.
Additional?
Yep.
And then that'll come out of Board of Works, okay. And then in the total amount of vehicles that you guys have to keep in rotation is important to me.
You talking with patrol cars and detective cars? So right now I can give you the exact number because I have it on a spreadsheet, but I don't have it right here on my head. So I can get you the exact number if you want the exact number. But we're right around probably about 54 at this moment, because we have been getting rid of some of the Impalas. We donated some to the schools. We plan on donating the rest of the Impalas that we have out there to the schools, and then we've had to junk a lot of them because they're beyond.
Sure.
They're rusted out where the back struts would go in, so they're unsafe to be on the street.
And then on your rotation, Mark, what do you want to accomplish? I know every year that we allocate so much money for police cars, but I know the chief was saying we'd like to have at least 8, and I think that's going to be important to keep on schedule, to keep them replaced, because I know as we replace them, and then they get up in miles and wear and tear, to keep on that schedule continuously, so we don't have to, be set with this dilemma again, which I think we should have always kept it on rotation, like the chief had said in the past. But, with budgets and money that we spent elsewhere, we neglected that. But anyhow, if you could kind of give me an idea on that.
Well, I would tell you that's why he's the chief, because he's thinking better than me, because I would say 10.
Okay.
10 cars.
Okay. I want to be realistic with
because-
54 cars.
Yes.
Running
But
all the
if
time.
we got into a rotation where we knew we were getting 10 cars every year, then we could get to the point where we're taking those vehicles that are getting around, like some other departments, when their cars get around 70, 80,000 miles, when they go to get new cars, they take them in and they get money back. They get trade-in value on those cars.
Right.
So if we had vehicles that weren't, like right now they say, hey, do you got any cars you want to bring in? It's like, no, I don't have anything I'm embarrassed to bring something out to ask you for a trading price, because you're going to tell me $50.
Yeah.
So if we got on a regular rotation, and it was a regular rotation, we could save a little money by trading those cars in.
Sure, and I think also on maintenance, we'd save a bunch of
Yes,
money.
yeah.
On expenditures on maintenance.
Yeah, and I think
on
that the big thing is no one's ever wanted to make that commitment.
Sure.
And that's not a reflection of us. We've always asked for a rotating thing, but we also understand that we're a city that we're not the big cities. We're trying to live and be responsible as a responsible department too.
Sure.
So, but I think that's why I would say 10. 8 would work, but I'd ask for 10. just to get on that regular rotation and start. And even if it was, if we did it for a couple years to see where we're at, maybe we do that and we find out, nope, this is the 10 cars and we're trading cars in, we're not getting our money back. Let's just keep driving them and go with the less number. I think that we just have to explore what would be the best and what would work out. And I think that's an area that we really don't know because we've never done it before.
Sure. Well, that's what concerns me because I'd like to, keep it on a schedule. Some of them you said are 2014 or 2014s and
Yes.
2017.
Yes.
You've got cars that are 11 years old.
Yes.
And, with the miles that you guys put on them, even 17.
Yeah.
And
I will tell you by thanking you guys for your turning over and buying some more cars. We actually took 08s and 12s off the street when we got those new vehicles.
Sure.
So that, that's how far we were going back and making those cars work.
Sure.
So.
And the other fact that I want to bring into perspective on this is I know it's hard to estimate, but the amount of cars that we lose in accidents, I know it's hard to estimate that, but I do know it happens, and we do lose vehicles in accidents once they get hit. They're totaled or they bend the frame or, they're not usable. We can pull the equipment out of them. But can you give me kind of a basics on how many we average losing, in accidents?
I'll knock on wood. We lost 2 last year to accidents. And we probably average at least 2 a year.
Okay.
If we have a good year, we lose 1, maybe
Sure,
none.
sure.
But I would say it's probably a more honest answer would be 2, at least 2 a year that we'll lose to accidents or
Sure, and
stuff that we
I
can't
think
control.
that has to be figured into that factor because we have to replace them. So
Yes.
I know he said 8, but if we figure that in, we're losing 1 or 2 out of 54 cars or 55 cars that are on the road 24/7.
Yep.
It's just a matter of fact that it's going to happen.
Yes.
So, okay, I appreciate that very much. That's all I have, sir.
Just a couple other questions, if you don't mind. What percentage are take-home vehicles versus like shared vehicles? Because I assume as a take-home, it's assigned to an officer and only one
Yes.
uses it.
Once you have a year on, once you're through your probation period, you get a take-home car.
Okay.
So all of our officers that have a year or more on have take-home vehicles.
Okay.
And we like to keep about 6 vehicles on the lot for what we call pool cars, which are spare cars, because we have those things. Guy gets a flat tire in the middle of the night. Guy gets in a wreck. A guy's car gets called in for recall, or an alternator goes out, and love them to death. They do us great. But, we have to wait on a mechanic to be able to get us in and get those parts, because we don't have a city mechanic anymore for the police department. So we have to outsource that, and so we have to wait on them to get those fixed. So we'd like to keep a spare car because there's just some things you just can't control. But right now, everyone has a take-home car except for what we call the rookies, who I think we have 4 of them right now that just got out of academy that don't have take-home cars. So.
Okay. So if, say, 2025 is our year to have a fantastic hiring motion and we get fully staffed up to the numbers you guys want, then we're still going to be behind on vehicles?
We're going to be right. We're going to be right even.
Okay.
Right now, we're going to be right even. If we get these other ones, I think we'll have a chance to. We'll probably do away with all the Impalas is the plan. Bring the Fords that are decent and still run, and put them on the lot as the pool cars.
Okay. Because, I think we're looking at not only the replacement and making sure that we have the right amount annually, but then we need to make sure that we're thinking ahead to when we have those additional people, because one would hope some of those that we hire are laterals as well, and
Yes.
that a nice vehicle is something that encourages them to transfer to our department.
Yes, and I'll tell you, and Chief Gilbert can speak for this. We've lost some candidates who, when you talk to them, they say, "Well, I went here because we get nice, they offered me a brand new car and this and this and this, and that's something that we do. We don't give our new guys brand new equipment. We just can't do it, sorry. We just can't do it at this point.
Well, and I mean, obviously, because we don't have all brand new cars, we
Yeah.
can't give everybody a brand new one.
Yeah, we just like to be able to put guys in a nice car they can depend on. And then that also keeps the maintenance down to where they're not, like for instance, right now we have a Ford down, so I have a young kid in a Chevy Impala, and probably by the end of the week he'll be like, I know how to switch cars, because that car's not able to be ran every day for that long. It's more for like finish out a shift, wait for his car to get fixed and go on.
And I guess one of my other thoughts was, as we're working our way through this plan and getting towards a regular rotation, then I would assume we'd be pulling vehicles off that are not in as poor condition as they are right now. Is that kind of the hope then, that would help other departments, because there would be vehicles you guys would be retiring,
Yes.
but would be better used for things like, the request from community relations to have a used vehicle, or other departments?
Yes, and we've been very lucky to be able to do that in the past with, I know a few years ago we gave the building department, you guys end up coming in and bought new vehicles for the building department, but they had all of our old hand-me-downs. But obviously we gave them vehicles that were really wore out.
Right.
And you could save a lot of money because they could go other places. We can help the school systems out. I think we get to the point with the school system, we have a really nice vehicle, and maybe they're getting to the point where they can maybe purchase the vehicle from us. I'm not sure how all that would work. But it would give opportunity to put those vehicles in other places and save money in other areas.
Okay.
Can you turn your mic off? Sorry. Yours is humming for some reason today. It's always one. Any other questions for police department?
Can we get Chief back up on the mic? Chief, after what happened down in New Orleans over the past 48 hours, are you concerned that there could be a follow-up of that situation, because it was just horrible what happened down there?
It is horrible. I don't want to, I'll knock on wood, anything can happen anywhere, but I think we're a lower risk target than some other places might be. I think it would be hard to do as much damage if you're thinking like a bad guy here. But you always want to. I like the way you're thinking. You always want to be prepared for anything. That's our job. But I again, knock on wood. But I think the people who try to do those evil things are trying to inflict as much damage and carnage as they can. And I think, yes, we're in the middle of Indiana. I think we're kind of a low risk target, but that doesn't mean we can't be targeted. So, but yeah, I think we're okay, but it's a crazy world. Yeah, he picked Bourbon Street for a reason, because there were all kinds of people there.
I'm finger Jones, I'm sorry.
I thought it was mine. I was panicking.
Yeah, at 3 o'clock in the morning, if you've ever been down on where they were on the French Quarter, that's a wild place on a New Year's Eve. So
The only time I've been to the French Quarter was during Katrina, and there was no one there but soldiers and policemen. It was empty. Yeah. Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Fordyce, did you have something?
Thank you. For Mark, I just got one more question for you. Mark, yes, sir. Can you just give me a close maintenance cost on the older vehicles that we're dumping money into yearly? I mean, what are we just wasting money on? I mean, you've got to have a maintenance cost in mind that you guys spend that you shouldn't be spending above and beyond normal oil changes and tires and stuff like that, just to keep them going, how much we're throwing away.
Yeah, I know probably the average over the last couple of years has been about $30,000 to $40,000.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Any other questions for police department?
Chief, just, I am the humming one, aren't I? In reading through yours and reading through some of the other requests, I know that you were asking for the potential of a building to go on the street department property.
I thought we were going to get out without discussing that.
And then the street department had a request in there to expand some of their areas to better for the weather, the products that they use for winter and things like that. Do we, Mayor, Chief, anyone have an idea of how some of that can be combined together so that it becomes a comprehensive area rather than piecemealing and
I think the request from the street department is involving the salt barn, and I don't know if that can be mixed with anything else. He can probably speak on that, but I think what Chief Gilbert's looking for is just a storage unit, essentially.
Yeah, but one of the values, it'd be a multi-purpose, but one of the really critical things that we'd use it for, say we have a homicide, God forbid, what we do now is if we have a victim's vehicle or a suspect vehicle, we have to process that thoroughly, just like you see on TV. And we have to take it to a place where we can do that and take our time, take 2, 3, 4 days and make sure it's secure. Right now, we take it to the street department in an area like you're describing, it's a common area. We kind of just put tape around it and hope nobody messes with it, and that's not ideal. So part of what we'd want to do is store our vehicles that we need to start when we turn the key, even in the coldest weather. The emergency vehicles, our evidence van, our SWAT vehicle, but we also have it's not as dramatic as that. We have our Johnny Law bounce house, Johnny Law's car, and we have to have that in a controlled environment. And so I don't want to be elitist here, but we would need a space where we have security. That's something we've been lacking for years, all the time I've been on. So we would really need a space that we could call our own and have as a secure area. Because we really have that now. I mean, the street department's wonderful. If we say we need something, they let us have it, but it's not secure. And we're in their way. So.
well, and some of what, and I know in talking at the beginning, there was some discussion about whether or not there was enough off-site storage for files and things like that, not just for the police department, but for clerk's office and court documents and things like that, that I just want to make sure that we're encompassing if we're looking at building a building. And yes, I know there would be a piece of that would need to be more secure for the police department, that we're not overlooking that opportunity, because when you're putting up a 40 by 60 building, if you need an additional 20 feet of storage space, it's cheaper to do it all together than to do an addition to it down the road. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we were discussing that and making sure we were hitting all those things. Our mind is
open. We're team players. We'd be open to listening to any of that, but there are concerns that are unique to our mission. So
absolutely.
We just want to be honest about that.
Absolutely, and there's ways to section off buildings and, to keep them secure, like you said, or just not even have access from one side to the other.
We're willing to discuss anything.
Okay, I just wanted to put that out there as while we're talking about it, and whether or not you really thought that did that one even have a price included with it?
Yeah, it's I kind of didn't space. It's tucked the last circle under that heading. It's 45, and I think that's a pretty good bargain. And quite honestly, I'm pretty thrifty. That's part of the reason there are only 6 cars listed, because the building is basically a car from the financial side. So.
And that pricing on the vehicles, that was the other question I was going to ask a minute ago. That's based on what we just bought the new ones for?
Yeah.
Roughly?
That's a really good number.
Okay.
And it's a little bit of a moving target, because Mark, he takes it from me every day. Listen, how can we squeeze another car out of this hunk of money? And it's his job to do that. So if Chargers are available, we'd prefer the SUVs, but if we could get a heck of a deal on Chargers and get 2 more vehicles, it's a shell game. It's really kind of a take advantage of opportunity, strike while the iron's hot, who's selling this, Mark does a wonderful job of that. And, but 60, we've landed on 60 is about a pretty good number. That's not too low and it's not extravagant either. And that's the SUV.
Any other questions for the chief or under the police budget. All right, thank you so much, Chief.
Appreciate it.
I think we'll just move into, I don't know, engineering, traffic, basically, Mike Graft. Where you at, Mike? Is Mike in here? Sorry, you're behind the mayor. I had a question, so maybe we'll roll into that on the traffic sign machine, laminator, and high-grade reflective material. I understand we have one now, if you want to come up to the mic. I'm gonna need you. I understand we have one now, so what's this new traffic sign machine doing, or what's different? I saw the laminator, and then I saw the, where was it at in this packet? 1 second. There's the design jet, I know what that does. Well, maybe I missed it here. I thought there was like a $27,000, oh, there it is, the expert jet. Is the expert jet for the signs, or is that something
Correct.
else?
Yeah, that's for the signs, because typically what we have right now is just it's either a black or a white. You do the cutout, you put it on the sign blank, you roll it, you press it, and it goes out the door. So you're being able to do stop signs. We have to order all the stop signs, speed limit signs, school crossings, any of those kind of things we have to farm out. The product that you see in front of you literally is an inkjet machine that has about 8 colors that's on the machine, that prints it onto the high reflectivity background, and can be done. We can do all the signs instead of farming any of them out. The biggest thing with the other product on there is it gives us, the laminator is kind of what you think it is as far as a laminator, but it is actually graffiti. So if someone comes and sprays a sign, it can actually be washed off, and that material is clear. It's graffiti proof. But the biggest cost in the #1 item for that, the $27,000 one, is it is a multi-use, where right now I'm very limited to the colors of the tape that we buy. And the process is a 3 to 5 step process to make one sign, where this prints it on the high reflectivity. You cut it, you put it on the sign, you do a roll, and you're out. So it's doing basically 3 steps in one.
Well, for like stop signs, those are pretty much standard. You can pre-order those. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily make stop signs.
Sure, you can, but it's cheaper if you're just buying the blank material, because obviously we don't have shipping involved. If you can buy multi amounts of the octagon blank material, and if we're low on a stop sign, because this is the time of year we start losing a lot of stop signs, then you're waiting on them to come. You see the barricades sitting with a temporary sign on them. We can fabricate a stop sign a lot faster than just waiting on the ordering it out and getting it outsourced.
So, I'm passionate on this, on the overhead signs for the intersections. One second, I'll get to you. And so the street signs that are over the intersections in the city, not the state highway, would this be able? I know those are pretty. I mean, they look small from the street, but they're big.
But they're large. You just have to buy the proper blank for it.
But this would be able to handle that.
That would definitely be able to handle it.
So, like at Washington and 30th, where they need replaced, you could do that all in house. And right now, we can't do that.
No, I'm not saying we can't. I'm just saying I have one person that does it, and as I explained not just you, this council, to multiple councils, the engineering department handles the traffic department's budget other than the payroll. So to fund that, we're trying to figure out where within our budget that we can use to fund the traffic department. So the mayor and I have had conversations. I think probably going forward, we're going to have to figure out in the budgetary cycle how to deal with the traffic department by itself, because it's just getting all of the equipment that we have on the street. And I did a small explanation, but the control panels, they're all old. Everything, and just trying to find parts. We're going to have to start being very diligent. If not, as anybody knows that's driving around now, we have we have 5 traffic signals that are down. They're either from a ped crossing that's got a cross wire. We had one that's out at the VA right now that we literally had to drill the lock off because it had corroded and we couldn't even get into the control box. So we have to start really thinking forward on how we're going to process that.
So I know we have a machine though right now. What can this do that the one that we have now can't do?
Multicolor. So yeah, that, and again, there's one person that can handle the job that would take this one person. We could probably cut the time down on how fast that produces and is able to do it in one, as opposed to, if anybody gets a chance to go down and see a sign being made, it is quite a process. The machine that we have now actually cuts it, so you have to do the blank, you have to put white on the blank and process that. Then you've got to cut out individually everything that's kind of quasi cut out by the cutting machine, hand pluck everything out of it, fit it on the machine, roll it, and then if you've got to do anything else, whether it's a border or whatever, then that's another process. So it's a lot of time consumption.
So last question, then I'll get to Councilman Klein. So this machine could duplicate our new street signs that we've ordered to the identical look?
Because it's all computer at that point. Yeah, you basically take a picture of what you want, you put it in the app, it gives it the parameters, and I watched when I first saw this one, when it started printing, it can print on the same sheet of paper, let's say 8 different signs in any different color. So you're not doing a setup for each individual one. You could process 8 different signs of a different color if you needed to. So whether it be a yellow, slow, children at play, that kind of sign could go with a stop sign, or a street name sign that's all printed, so you're not wasting as much material trying to cut it all out. It fits within that zone.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Klein.
I wasn't trying to cut you off. I just wanted to get in line. You talked about farming signs out, ballpark, in a year. How many do you have to farm out, and what's it cost per?
So, I mean, obviously our biggest is stop signs. I would say we probably are farming out or getting in probably 30 to 40 stop signs a year. And each individual sign to be processed and shipped to us, unless we do it in bulk, is going to cost us about $160 per sign. And that's without shipping.
And it's just stop signs?
Just stop signs. And that's probably our biggest turnover. You know, right now we're in the big phase of the street name signs, but once those are all up, as President McKinley said, people are going to hit those, and we're going to have to remanufacture those all over again. So, yeah.
Any other questions for Mike while he's up here, or any of the departments he's over? All right.
All right.
So are we looking at based on your pictures, both machines?
So we could do either. I mean, you could go without the laminator,
Okay.
but for what we can get the laminator, and if we can save, which we do get a lot of graffiti, if we could put that on there, it will extend the life of a normal sign to about 5 more years, as long as it's not run over. You know, if it's graffitied, we can clean it, and the reflectivity stays better because you've already got the laminated material on it, which is based specifically, I checked on different models, that unit is a companion for the laminator.
Great. Any other questions for Mike? Councilman Fordyce?
Mike, my only question would be on your street signs and stuff. How many do we lose to theft? I mean, I know that
You could ask Jim Suter, probably a couple.
It used to be popular back in the day, stop signs and, you know, street signs as if they were the same name as the people, or, I mean, do you have any idea what we actually
I would
lose
say
to
years
theft?
ago, we saw probably a lot more where the sign was completely gone. Now it's the only reason the sign is gone if it gets hit. Probably one of the biggest ones is Johnson Street. And why Johnson Street? I don't know. I didn't know that we had that many Johnsons, but it is constantly being taken.
Right.
That's one I can very easily point out, but not as much as we used to. Most of it is just poor judgment on people that hit them, and once they're down on the ground, then the kids will take them.
Sure.
I don't know if they scrap them and what the scrap price is for aluminum.
So what you're saying is we need to rename Johnson Street?
We could name it to McKinley because McKinley never goes away.
Well, I would say we have a McKinley Street. No one ever steals that one. Nobody could care about that. Any other questions for Mike?
And I'm not in charge of your sign on the bridge. Sorry, Jim.
I will say, though, if you do go over Mr. Browner's bridge, we now have a full river. If it wasn't for that low-level dam, everybody'd be flooded now, so good job.
Hindsight's always 20/20, right?
We just appreciate the mayor hitting his lever on that, so appreciate that. Any other questions for Mike? So we can move to another. Great, thanks, Mike, appreciate it. Any other council members with questions on any other department they want to ask questions on?
I'll hit one that has a major expense for Dave and have him come up. All the other ones, I mean, everything is an expense, but this one is major. This is regarding this building and the HVAC controls. So we've had a couple quotes, and both of those quotes are like $400,000 to $500,000. So I'll have him come explain. Explain what that is. Yeah, have him come explain what that is and why that's necessary. And then the fire department also has a large expenditure request as well. I'll have him. I would like them to come do it too.
Well, mine with the controls, you know, our boilers and chillers are in good shape, but all the controls with the pneumatics, I think I've kind of went with this with everybody. They're just so outdated, you can't even really buy the parts for them. A lot of the piping and stuff, the valves has been seized up. We've had to go in and override just to open everything up, just to get heat and get air. It's either it's all on or it's all off. You know, some of my time is coming back in here in the evenings, turning the heat on or turning the heat off because it's too hot. You know, that's a continuous job that we have. If we can just get the controls, you know, the mayor could be 70 degrees in his office, it'd be warm, and our chief of staff in the next office, she's 70 degrees and she could be freezing. So we have to trying to keep that level to everybody where they can control their own in their own room is what we're trying to get at.
And this is very important. I mean, especially it's 2025 now. You can be able to sit behind your phone or computer and be able to control every room in City Hall via the controls. Right now, we're still dealing with the little twist tile things that don't work. For fun, when you leave, just go turn one up and down, and nothing's going to change. This just doesn't work. So we want to make sure that we're able to control every room in City Hall appropriately, because it will end up obviously saving us a lot of money in the long run instead of just having full blast air on or off. Right now we have no control at all.
Yeah, and it's not good for the equipment like this, you know, when it's 80-some degrees outside and we have to have our air run at 100%, then go back out and physically just turn it off. Wait, go back a couple hours and turn it back on. We should never have to do that now, you know, where we can just get some controls to get, I know it's going to be a penny, but it's something that's needed. It's been too many Band-Aids for too long.
So a question, so I know we had some recent meetings. Is this including with that discussion, or is this outside of that? How's that work?
This would be, if we decide to move forward with that, this would be outside of that anyway. Yeah.
So it would eliminate us needing, if we were to use that company, we wouldn't need them for this. This is just you directly getting a few quotes. Of course, if this is something we wanted to move forward, you would actually have to put it out for official bid.
Enough we have to do the official bid package and submit it to the Board of Works and open, so.
Great, thanks. Any other questions? This is just for this building though, right? Okay. And actually, I do have one other question, just because I'm looking at these estimates, and I don't know HVAC that well, but just because of the recent discussions we have, would this replace the ventilation that goes around the lights like we've talked about, and actually have their own air duct system?
It was good. It'd probably do about 80% of them. You know, there's some that's already been done, like the clerk's office has already been done. Police department, there's been some areas that has been done already. But yeah, that's what we're trying to get rid of, is this we don't have in here. Actually, you can see the air coming down, return to there. But in the regular rooms where the lights are at, that's where the vents, that's where we're ventilated. We're trying to get away from that, where you actually have vents in each room. And this will be part of it, yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. Any other questions? I guess anyone have any other questions before he gets in his seat? All right, great. Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
And then if we can do the fire department next, that'd be good, because they have a large ask on theirs.
Hello, hello. If you don't
Good
mind, I
evening.
like to sit because I'm super tall and that thing's super not, so kind of sit here. Hello. Any and all questions?
So when I'm
ready.
looking at this, the large ask is the 488,410. Is that what we're talking about, or am I missing something?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. For new SBCA's and face masks, air packs, correct?
Yes, SCBA, yes.
Is this replacing every
Everyone.
firefighters?
Not every firefighter doesn't have one. To put it a better way, every seat on a fire truck has one. So otherwise, I would need 60, and this is for roughly 40. To have one on each truck is about 32, I believe, and just have some spare for incidentals and things that eventually will break.
So what about the ones we have now?
The ones we have now, each bottle is, they have a shelf life. And so after 5 years, you do what's called hydrostatic testing, which they fill it with water and has this whole pressure for so long. And you get to do that twice. We've done it twice now. Manufactured up to 10 years, they're done. You can't use them. It's a liability if you do. Next year is a 10-year mark. So we're at the end of the life for those bottles. And then for the air packs themselves, they've just been used for 10 years. And they're definitely showing their age, their wear. They come in a kind of a brown, kind of a black, like this thing here. Over time, if it gets too heat, and Councilman Cogman knows, they turn brown. That's our indicator it's gotten too hot, and you've gotten too close to the fire, and that means it's less fire retardant once they start turning brown. And most of them have some brown or mostly brown right now.
So is this something that every 10 years the city has been spending money on? Like, this is an anticipated
Yes.
expense? This
Yes.
isn't like, well, just we've kind of neglected. This is just, we know every 10 years we're probably going to have to put money in
And
this.
because this is a safety thing for the firefighters that they have to go into a house fire, then NFPA and OSHA gets involved with that, and that's something we have to have. And eventually, the city or council, we have to buy them. And they cost what they cost. I don't. And there's two main manufacturers. I think there's a couple other, but there's two main manufacturers. The one I'm quoting you is the one we've always used. We've had great luck with them. Part of the expense is we the air packs, they have different styles, but the one I'm asking for is you're able to do what's called buddy breathing. That way, is if a firefighter is down, their regulator, the hose that comes off the pack that goes to the regulator, goes to their face, it has a detachable part in the middle. And that way, we can bring them another bottle which is attached to that their air pack in the middle, and then they can breathe off of that. And then that way, what I'm asking for is that every firefighter get their own regulator. They'll have everyone has their own face mask, but now they have their own regulator. They're responsible for the regulator. The germs that they have are in their regulator. Not that you don't have to come in. It's going to help with some of the sick time we have. So I'm not breathing in someone else's cold that they had yesterday. So it's just, I think it's better off if everyone has their own regulator. There's a couple cheaper options to go with, but I think this one is better overall. I think this is a better option.
So, but if a firefighter were to leave or retire, you can reassign that to
Yes,
another
it's
firefighter?
not individual. It's just a generic. Anyone can use it.
Great, thanks. Any other questions?
These air packs are the equivalent of the police officer's bulletproof vest for us.
Yeah, we can't breathe inside the smoke without it.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, Chief.
You mind if I just bring the people up that's here still, and okay, let's do it.
Go ahead. However you want to do it, Mayor.
Let's go, Nanny, and then we'll work our way to what's the way? We have 4 more people, yeah. Work our way the rest of the round. What's the way around?
All right, so we'll have Danny come on up.
One thing on his that's very important, and I'll have him speak more to the importance of this, is our upgrading our firewall system. We're talking about safety. It's the same thing as the bulletproof vest and the mask. This firewall system is protecting the whole life of the city, because if somebody gets into this, and everything we're doing is shut down. So I'll have him explain more.
You turn the mic on.
Sorry, didn't you think I'd know that, wouldn't you? We've gotten a quote from a group out of, I think they're out of Muncie, Exos IT, for a firewall. I have a meeting with them on the 6th. They also offer some other tools that I'm kind of on the fence, but at the same time, I think it's the way to go to feel secure. So I'm not so swamped. It feels like I'm everywhere. They also like to do anti-phishing for us. I don't know if people know what that is, where you get the emails from us that you shouldn't click on, and if someone was to click on it, we'll use that as a training tool. We'll have them take a class probably and learn more. And maybe not the first email, but the second one definitely. And of course, the firewall is just going to protect us all the way around. And we've actually installed some other stuff to help with that too. We've went to Duo, 2-step for computers, which is helping, but definitely the firewall we really need now, so it's time, and I'm thinking we might end up using this group. I still have to be with the mayor, and we'll decide everything, but I think we're looking at about $6,000 and then $5,000 annually maintenance and licensing for it.
Any questions for Danny?
Then, of course, the other things I'm asking for, I think, just makes us a better company and city with training. I don't know if it's with training on for people on Windows and even Microsoft Office, how to use them properly. I know that there's some of us in here that can do that, but anything you can do will improve us as a city and individuals. So, knowledge.
So, real quick, I didn't see any prices on there. Am I missing something?
The prices with the firewall, I don't know on the training yet. That was my fault. So some of the classes, I'm sure they wouldn't be overly ridiculous. Like I said, the firewall is about $6,500 one-time cost, and then it's $5,000 annually licensing and maintenance. The training I'd have to look more into, but I don't think that would be too bad. Some of the other stuff I want, I already have the money for, so I figured why ask for it. I'm doing some of that out of my funds.
I have a question. when it comes to the Wi-Fi in the building. Is it possible for us to look into investing in both a secure Wi-Fi for, say, council members and employees, and then a public
Well, and I'm
Wi-Fi to
already
separate
working on
that out?
actually these ones we have. I'm getting it so because made for the public, because we even have sometimes people, I won't even narrow it down any further than that, want to connect their cell phones, and that drives me nuts. Because you just never know what people are doing with their personal cell phones at home, and I know that's caused me a few issues in the past. But that's what, actually, I'll probably turn this one into a public, and then we'll have the private for the employees, if you will.
Yeah, I just think there's a vulnerability when we're, I mean, there just needs to be a public Wi-Fi that's outside of the firewall.
Yeah. For the most part, we don't get a lot of people that just stay here and just to be here out public. Most of the time, we get somebody coming here, they're going to do some kind of demo in a conference room or something, but that's a little different. But we still have some employees that, yeah, I'd rather not have their phones on my network, but.
All right. Any questions for Danny? Great. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it. You got an update on the score real quick?
It was 23-10 when I came up.
Okay, thanks.
With 7 minutes.
4:56.
All right.
We just stopped him twice inside the 10. You gotta love it.
Next, we'll have Commissioner
Appreciate it.
Falsnight come up and talk about code enforcement and building. And I can't remember if I sent this to you all in time or not. Do you all have the capital improvement for code enforcement in the building department?
Nope.
You don't? Okay. I'll resend it, but I'll give you a brief overview of what they're asking for. Code enforcement is 2 newer trucks, skid loader with a forestry mulcher attachment, riding mowers, trailer, and lawn equipment specifically for code enforcement only. And then building department is looking for a chipper truck, small dozer, and new software for the code enforcement and building department. So I apologize for not getting that to you. I thought I had sent it, but
You did. We received it at, oh, you know what? I think you might have just sent it to me.
Oh, my fault. Okay.
So I didn't even look to see who he sent it to.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll forward it to all of you. He sent it to me at 10:30 this morning, but I didn't look. I just assumed everyone got it. So I'll
okay.
forward
That's
it
my
on real
fault
quick.
then.
My bad.
Yeah.
I didn't look. I just saw the attachment and looked. I thought, oh, great. I'll forward that on real quick.
And then when I officially bring this ask to you, we'll obviously have the quotes for everything more nailed down.
All right, just send it to everyone if you're on your laptop. It should come through any second. But the first page is the Dixon Services estimate, right? Is that the correct one you sent?
That's for that sounds like that's for transportation.
Yeah, but then there's another
Yeah, if you scroll down past
page.
it.
I'm saying the first page they
yeah.
see. But if you go all the way down the bottom, it's capital improvement program request for 2025 and code enforcement and building department are on that. Just want to make sure they know to go all the way down to see that. So code enforcement, you said the 2 new trucks, skid loader, riding mowers. I have a question on that. Is that, again, what I'm trying to do is distinguish between what are things that we're needing because maybe you've been denied funds in the past, and what is stuff that we just normally always purchase, right? The nice to have versus, hey, every 5 years we're usually spending this anyways.
Well, these are things that we felt we needed. The trucks that we have now, they're older trucks. One of them has 120,000 miles on it. The other one, I believe, is 130, maybe 5. They're older trucks that we would like to replace those for the officers because they're out on a daily basis in those trucks. The skid loader, we use Randy's or down at the street department, we use their skid loader whenever it's available. And Randy always tries to make sure it's available. But with the skid loader, we'd like to get it's a forced attachment that we can go in and we can clear areas better. It takes it cleared right down to the soil or to the dirt, and it's much more efficient. We would be able to get more areas cleaned up. For instance, down along the river, we can take that down through there and eliminate a lot of that brush and everything down there. If you noticed last year, we had the inmate crew down there along the river from Washington Street North, cleaning that all up. We had a lot of compliments on that we had done that, but you know, it was nice. They did a really good job, but with a machine like this, it'd be much more efficient and do a better job for us. As far as the riding mowers, what we do is we have a contract with the inmate work crew over the Sheriff's Department. It's our responsibility to furnish riding mowers for them to use on their daily mowing chores that we send them out. As you might recall, last year, the inmate crew mowed roughly 5,000 lots in the city, and we had a lot or fewer calls from people complaining because we had them out more. We did buy 2 mowers. We went half with the Sheriff's Department on one of the mowers, then we bought a mower ourselves. So we're obligated to make sure that we provide those mowers to continue the service. However, there's times where we could use a mower ourselves in code enforcement to be able to have our guys go out and do some of the smaller lots. And it'd be a little more efficient maybe for our guys rather than having to go and pull mowers from the workmate crew to use. It'd just be a little more efficient. We did take this year and we did buy 2 new trailers for the workmate crew to use. And so we're trying to advance ourselves the best we can on those things. On the, well, I'd answer any questions on those. I intentionally didn't put the price on these because the prices vary through, as we move forward, the prices vary. You know, we get a good rate on mowers, say for instance, a $15,000 mower. Last year we got it for a little over $12,000. I had a conversation with them before I made the list out. Prices are going up. They don't know the exact amount they're going to go up, so we're going to be paying more on that. And I'll be more than happy to get you a price on that. But you know, prices keep going up out at Western Dodge, or not Western Dodge, but Mike Anderson Dodge. You know, we have found that the best prices we could get in the city was through Dodge out there. Having talked to Spencer Bunch, which is a salesman out there, you know, the prices change on those on a monthly basis pretty much. So I didn't want to put into our thing an estimate on what it's going to cost until I knew that we were going to move forward maybe on this. So those are the things that we're talking about on the code enforcement. You know, those are the 3 things that, as I sat down with the officers in code enforcement, those are the 3 things that they thought was the most important to them as we move forward.
What brand mowers do you usually use, Jerry?
We use Exmark. The reason we use Exmark is because they basically service our equipment out there. And in the past, if we've had issues where we have a mower that we purchase out there and for some reason it goes down or something, they've given us loaner mowers to use to continue our operations.
Yeah, they're real good out there about that.
Yeah, they seem to be, yes.
Any council members with questions? All right, thank you. Thanks, Jerry.
Okay, thank you.
The transportation is attached to the document that Councilman McKinley was just sent over. One on this, that's all of the asks on this are very important, but one that's really, really important is the transportation department does not have a bathroom. So they have to like walk to the other building to be able to use the restroom. So that's one of the things that I really want to make sure we get done pretty swiftly. So that's a big ask. That's important. But everything on this that they're asking for, I believe, is very founded. But that's something that I definitely want to highlight that we definitely need to do.
Would it be cheaper just to put one little porta pot things out
I guess we could. Yeah.
I knew that was coming up. I didn't know which one was going to say it, but I knew somebody was.
Yeah, he was serious.
Yeah. It's very well needed. I've been there 8 years, and when they built that, I think it's because of the sewer line, and they don't have one, so it has to come from the other building. And Randy and his crew, they're going to do the trenching for us, so that'll save us a lot of money doing that. And we want a male and a female, because we do have a lot of females that work for us.
So is this going to be multiple stalls or just an individual bathroom, or how many?
An individual bathroom, yeah.
So it's a unisex is what you're saying? It's one bathroom, right?
No, it'd be two, male and female.
Okay, I just thought, well, why not just have one bathroom that anyone can use? I mean, it would save us, I don't know. Why two and not just one that the door locks?
I got about 9 women that work there, and I think it just will be more sanitary and more good for them to have their own restroom.
Okay.
But, we'll take what we can get, if that's what it takes, but right now we just want to get a restroom there.
So this is the full cost, $34,600, including running the sewage line, the water, the piping, all of that?
And we thought about the unisex, and I just thought better ask for this. And the other one was the exhaust fans for our terminal. They don't have any exhaust fans in the restroom and the break room where the bus drivers are, so we're asking for that. And then the third one it's pretty, I guess it could be pretty big. It's the containment wall for the gas. This is for the whole city. It's just not for transportation here. It's the containment wall where the gas tanks, the big gas tanks sit, and they have cracks in them. So I think they probably need a new wall. And that'll help out if it is a gas leak or, it won't run out. And again, like I said, I put this in basically it's for not just transportation, it's for, because everybody uses it. I guess I couldn't find anything else, but I think that's a good deal here to try to get that fixed.
Are any of those considered items that could be put in for partial reimbursement through the transportation grant, or is this outside of that?
No, this is outside. This is all in the plan. Yeah. Now, if we would go by ourselves and do it, yes, but right now, everything we're doing here is Memorial.
Question on the bathrooms again. How many employees total would be in that building that would need to use a restroom, maybe at one time, or how many employees use that?
We have 16, but it'll probably be 5 there most of the time, in and out. But every employee goes to that area. So that garage there, everybody's there at least a few times a day, and at least 5 or 6 people are there in and out most of the day. And they just have to walk across the parking lot to use the restroom.
Do you know what the price difference it is to do 1 versus 2 restrooms?
No, I don't. I can look into that. Well, I will look into that because you're.
It would be good to know, just, I mean, if it's not
Yeah, I
a big
understand.
difference. I
Yeah,
know the big expense.
I kind of looked
yeah.
into that, but I don't think he gave me a quote on that, but I can get one.
Just out of curiosity, just, yeah, I mean, that many employees, if they're not in the building at the same time,
Right.
is 2 needed, unisex or not? Just be nice to know if the price is that much different, because I understand probably quite a bit of that is just getting the lines ran over there. And yeah, if you could, that'd be great.
I'll do that.
Any other questions? Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're making it easy on me.
Randy can actually do both of these. The one you guys, well, I might be just, did I just send the parks to Nick? Does everybody have the parks?
Actually, I was going to ask you, I never saw a Parks.
You didn't see
send it to
parks?
me?
You guys don't have parks? Okay. Well, I'll just let him do the streets right now, and I'll send you guys all the parks.
No, I just found it actually. Again,
Oh,
it
you
was
do
one
have
of-
it?
I did, yeah. It was one of
Okay.
those I thought you sent to all of us, so.
It's only you.
apologies, Yeah.
Okay.
And you sent it the morning of New Year's Day. I don't think I was awake yet, so. apologies. I just forwarded the Parks Department, but I think there was another one that everyone got, right? The backhoe, there's a couple other. Yeah.
Are those
The-
the ones that say capital improvement number 1, 2, and 3? Okay. It said citywide maintenance.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. The request for the salt barn, this is going to sound facetious, but where do we use salt? Because where do we salt?
Street.
The streets.
That's a legitimate question because I didn't know. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I just don't notice. I mean, I notice the state highways are salted, but where do we salt all of our streets? Because I don't.
Yes, correct.
I mean, honestly, I think it's a legitimate question because I don't know. Is there a certain threshold at which we start salting or?
It just depends, to be honest with you. We mainly, like tonight, we'll do, if it snows, which I think it is now, we'll do like bridges, hospital area, schools, things of that nature first. Then we move into the main roads and then the side roads. But we don't drop it in the volume that the state does because they mix theirs with sand. Ours is straight salt.
Is our old salt barn, I thought that was like concrete block. Is it or no?
It's concrete walls.
It is about
I mean, but that's
6 foot up and
That
then the rest of it's
surprises me
wood.
because salt is terrible on concrete. I mean, it
Yes.
eats concrete up.
Absolutely.
So if we redo it, are you going to still use a block base? Is it all right or?
Actually, it'll be a different block base, the kind that stack. So when they do start to deteriorate, you can pull that block and replace that block. It'll have a steel beam structure with like the tarp over the top so that we can back in.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, so when they're dumping the salt for us, they can back in, dump it. It's not out in the elements till we get to it.
Okay.
The way we dump now, dump it in the parking lot,
Right.
we mix it with the old salt and put it right back in.
So that'll just go directly in then?
Correct.
I don't
And the main thing is the barn we have now only holds 400 tons. We're contractually bound with Compass through the state for 800 tons a year. And if I don't use that 800 tons or they don't deliver it, I pay that fee plus a $22 a day storage fee for them to store it.
Will this new one hold that much or no?
Yes, sir.
It'll hold that much at one
Yes, sir.
time? Okay.
It'll hold all 800 tons.
new design, the semi that drops it can back in. It's all undercover. When we go to load it, same way, it doesn't expose it to the ground.
Will it be in basically the same spot where the one is now?
No, sir, we'll move it where Jay parks a semi,
Yeah,
and that existing structure will be tore down.
okay,
Because that's right next to the gas pumps that Mr. Edward was
Yeah.
talking about, correct?
okay.
Is this one of those cone-shaped buildings we always see? Like
Yes.
the standard size that you're looking to get? Okay.
Yeah, all the companies that we've spoken to, that'll hold 800 tons. The ones like the county are bigger because they make sand and salt. We don't. We don't do salt because it clogs the drains.
Or sand,
Sewer
you mean?
drains.
You mean sand or?
Sand, yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
okay, all right.
Yeah, if we use salt, like if I run out and I have to get salt or sand, I have to call utilities because we're about to back your system up with the sand.
I know it's, because winters, who knows what winters are like in Indiana anymore, but, I mean, is 800 tons, is that approximately the last few years, or no?
No, we haven't used that, but you get it at a discounted rate. It's like 81.28 a ton. If I just call an individual like out of Ohio, it's over 170 a ton.
And then did you say you could sell it back or no?
No.
Okay, so
No, sir.
we would just keep it for next year
Yep.
then?
What I'll do is, there's a containment area beside the existing barn. We just mix that with the old as we go.
Okay,
We tarp that over because that barn doesn't hold it.
okay.
And if we have a slow winter and I say only use 200 tons, well, I got 600 in the barn, or 400 in the barn, 200 on the ground, and they're bringing me 800 more.
So I didn't mean to make it look like you guys didn't do your job. I just don't. I know I've seen intersections salted, but, and maybe it's just because I'm on like such a side street. I just don't see it as often. So, yeah.
To give you a better answer, we don't salt like a whole street unless it's a hill.
All right, that makes more sense.
We do
yeah.
intersections, and then your car drags it through for us.
Okay, well that's why I was asking.
Now, the hill here at the hospital, we'll do that whole hill, all the way around. Schools, we do the whole front, the side where the buses go, the whole 9 yards. But
Gotcha, okay.
just say Shunk Street over here, we only do the intersections.
Perfect,
And
okay.
then you'll drag it through for me.
That makes more sense. People might watch, might go, well, my street never gets salted, and I just want to make sure we have that clear.
Yes, sir.
I don't want any confusion out there.
Well, except for your street now, I agree with you.
I got four-wheel drive, I'm good. Any other questions? And then, wait, you said for Parks Department?
Yeah, he can answer those too.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
Did everyone with their laptops see that come through?
I had, what with parks, but I had one more question.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
The backhoe is, like we got that smaller one last year, is this to replace the big one?
Yes,
Okay, so then we'll have two fairly new backhoes then?
correct. Since
That's good.
March, we've sunk $22,000 into the older one. And now the transmission skips. So like if we're doing a neighborhood cleanup and you're next to a car, I don't know if it's going to go into gear or not.
Well, and that's kind of like, almost like the police cars, fire, whatever, that, you're tearing down a home, I mean, that thing's working
Correct.
all the time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's good, we'll have two new ones in,
That's my hope.
good.
Did I miss where the prices were for the backhoe and the salt barn? Were they in those why is my,
I don't think the price is on there, but he can get those sent to you.
Any other questions on that before we go into parks? And I know everyone probably just got the email that has it pulled up, so it might give them a second to digest through that.
The last couple years of replacing anyway, so.
I'm starting at the bottom, number 4, the pickleball and tennis court. Will this fix the cracks or just?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'll take that because this is one of the thing I pushed out. So what this is doing is, yes, fixing all the cracks, and what this will do is expand the pickleball court. So we would, I think right now we have 5 tennis courts. Is that right? Or
Correct.
So this would get rid of 3 of them and expand pickleball, and then we have 2 tennis courts, and I believe the right number is 6 plus think we'll have 10 pickleball courts now with this quote.
So we're converting.
Converting, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And that takes out the cracks and smooths it all. And, okay.
Are we not seeing as much use of the tennis courts as that I suggested? Because every time I've been down there, it seemed like the tennis courts were being used.
Yeah, so I spend a lot because I get a rather insane amount of requests about pickleball, and so I just went out there for about a month straight and just watched. And rain, hail, sleet, snow, cold, like people are playing pickleball nonstop to the point like if it rains, they'll like squeeze you off the court and then go play again. That's how serious it is. So it's used at a very high rate, and then in comparison to the tennis courts, when I was out there, they weren't used at that same rate. So I think that the 2 tennis courts will suffice that use, and right now we don't have enough pickleball courts to accompany the amount of demand we have for that sport.
Question on the maintenance buildings. It says new maintenance building. Is this going to replace one going to be torn down?
Yes, sir. The existing building, we call it building number 2. It's been up since the park's been there. It's now got holes in it. It's become a home for raccoons. We can't store equipment in there anymore. The roof's leaked. It's like a pole barn style. So yeah, we'll tear that one down and build a different one in that location.
Explain to them where it's at in the park relation.
It's in the park complex. Yes, if you go in the gate, it's the first building on the right. Back when I was a rookie with the park in '98, that's where we ate, welded, painted the whole 9 yards in one area. Yes, correct.
So, question is how'd that building get to that point? Like,
Previous administrations didn't care, and I'll just be honest.
yeah, I mean, just want to know why we're needing a new building when we had one. And
Correct. They just let it fall apart, and then they built the one in the back we call Building 6, but all the walkway lights go in that building, so they can't put their equipment in there.
would this be a all metal building, like a pole barn style, or?
Yes, sir.
And would this have like water? Is it insulated, heated, or is it just a cold storage?
Just cold storage. We'll do the electricity ourselves, but obviously we'll have to have somebody else build it.
I bet that building is 50 years old.
It's been there a long time, absolutely.
Is this increasing your size as well? Is this a bigger building?
Yes, sir.
Footprint-wise?
Yes, sir. The reason we asked it to be increased is because some of the Christmas lights are still outside in semi-trailers. We can increase the size of that building. We can lose the semi-trailers because it looks pretty shoddy out there. And being they just put the new fence up, you can see in there, so it looks kind of trashy. That'll get rid of the 3 semi-trailers and the lights that have to stay outside. They'll all be stored in there, plus the gardens, mowers, equipment of that nature can go in there. The only thing that couldn't would be the Bobcat because it's diesel, so it has to go in a heated building.
Question for you, Mayor, on this Parks Department one. Might know where I'm going with it. Skate park. So, is there any look or discussion on skate park, on maybe potentially budgeting some out of this, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think when we get to that point where our scoping agreement is clear and see how much it's going to cost for us to do that, I think we can bring it back to this body as well as the redevelopment commission to see how we can get there.
Okay, thanks. Just didn't know if you had thoughts of putting it in these initial plans, or you just want to wait until we grow. Sounds good. Any other questions from the council members?
Appreciate it, sir.
All right, thank you so much. It is 7:50, so
So
we're almost there.
You want to just reschedule another one for Dana to come back?
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I'm sorry, but someone always has to go last.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I blame it on the mayor. He picked you last. No,
We'll
I'm just kidding.
reschedule the next one on Super Bowl Sunday. How about that? So I'm actually up here for two, which is the Controller's Office and HR, so.
Dana, you have in there the filing cabinet. Will this replace all your filing, so like we'll be able to actually open all of our filing cabinets in
We're hoping, and lock.
and lock?
We need-
That's right.
Yes, yes.
I mean, this is our financial department of the
Right.
city, and we can't even open our cabinets or
Right.
lock them up, so.
Right, yes.
That was my only really I wanted to make sure if it was going to replace all, we'd have them
Yes.
all. Okay.
Is this, are these fire resistant or they're more protective from fire than what we have?
Oh, when I spoke to Ann, there are some that are fire resistant. I have one in my office, but it doesn't lock. So we have to really get them that are fire resistant and lock. If not, lock is our first choice.
And to reiterate, the filing cabinets that's listed on here is already covered in that other quote I sent you for furniture. So this is just, yeah.
And this is adding a bathroom in your department,
Suite.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Is it just one bathroom?
yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Sorry, I'm just going through some stuff. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That
I
was
don't
easy.
mind being last.
Yeah. Easy at the end there, yeah.
Really appreciate you also. I gave you guys the raw stuff that everybody sent. Now everybody's not gonna get everything they asked for, so I'm not gonna present every single thing that people asked for tonight. What I'm hoping to do is I'll go through and finalize this with the departments and get actual numbers for the stuff they asked for, and then present you guys with a packet. And then what I would like to do is ask for one additional appropriation called capital improvement plan to be able to execute this, as opposed to asking for 45 additional appropriations for each thing. So I'll work with the departments, get hard, real numbers on these things, present a packet that way, and then just do one additional appropriation that's entitled capital improvement plan that covers the things that we decide on. Yeah, I'll bring you the real thing when we get to the council. Yeah. Meeting.
So when you get that put together, are you anticipating wanting to maybe have one more budget committee hearing to go through that, kind of vet that out? And before we get to council meeting, I think that probably would be.
If you want to, I mean, it doesn't matter. If you want to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just to prevent a 4-hour-long council meeting.
Okay,
Especially
yeah.
with all the, I mean, with all that stuff in there, we have time to go through it, but I think it'll be nice once we see just the buttoned-up package to be able to answer questions. Because the last thing I want is to get to a council meeting and then somebody objects because there's one thing, and then it just creates issues. So as soon as you get that, then we can have the discussion, maybe have another budget committee meeting, and then present it to full council meeting.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you everyone for coming tonight, appreciate it.